Roki Sasaki looked pretty bad. River Ryan looked pretty good. And Edwin Diaz looked like the guy you signed to be the best closer in baseball. Let's talk about their debuts here on All Dodgers. Coming at you live from my mom's basement here in beautiful Pleasant Grove, Utah. This is the All Dodgers podcast, part of the Bleav Network of podcasts, presented by FanDuel. And it's not just me in my mom's basement. It's also Kevin over there in his mom's basement or kitchen, his mom's kitchen, somewhere in the state of Illinois. Exact location undisclosed due to witness protection. Don't tell the mafia where he is. It's Kevin Skinner. And Kevin, it's just you and me tonight, which means we saved the two best for this episad. Clint
and the skinniest.
Yeah, sadly, that might be true. Man, Clint catching strays. We miss Clint, but we will hold down the fort anyway. The Dodgers played again. One of the nice things about spring training, they don't even do days off. They just do because not everybody's playing every day, so they don't really need days off. They'll do split squad games sometimes, and sometimes you get two games in one day. And so they just play every day. And today was kind of a big day for the Dodgers because we got the spring debuts for three pitchers. We got Roki Sasaki, who is a big question mark coming into this year. We got River Ryan, who is another question mark, but a very exciting one as he comes back from his Tommy John surgery. Hasn't pitched in a year and a half or so. And then we got the debut of Edwin Diaz, who the Dodgers signed this offseason because they needed a relief pitcher. And they said, we'll take the best one, please. And so they got him. Let's talk about each of these because I was telling you before we started, we talked the other day yesterday, I guess, about Gavin Stone's spring debut and how much better it was than we really could have hoped for. So what we saw today, Roki Sasaki his performance was what I was afraid Gavin Stone's would be. River Ryan's is what I expected Gavin Stone's to be. Roki's was bad. I know people talk about the velocity and people talk about he needs a third pitch. For me, Roki's success is always going to come down to, can he ever develop command? Because command manifests itself in two ways. A lack of command manifests itself in two ways. Either you're getting behind in counts because you can't throw the pitch in the strike zone, or you're throwing the ball right down the middle. And we've seen, even in that game, Kevin, against the Brewers in the playoffs, when Roki came in and struggled and they had to relieve him, it was a command issue. As good as he was in the postseason, it was not being able to throw the ball where he wanted. That's what we saw a lot of today. It was very much Roki doesn't really know where this ball is going, and the results kind of played into that. A couple walks and some hard hit balls, which is kind of both of those ways I was talking about manifesting.
Yeah, I'm not panicked in any way. Somebody asked how fast he was throwing. I think he averaged 97 on the fastball. He's going to need to find a way to land that first strike. The zone percentage on his fastball was not good. I know he doesn't have, by the metrics, a great fastball or even a good fastball necessarily, but if he can't land that first strike, then no one is going to respect his splitter. So there's that. I mean, and that was a problem last year. But looking at him today, it very much looked like somebody who's just trying to find it still. He's trying out some new pitches, which is great. And once he finds out what does and doesn't work for him, he can start, dialing it in a little bit. But yeah, like when you're a pitcher who doesn't know, I think he debuted a sinker and a two-seam or a cutter, something like that. When you debut new pitches and you don't really know how batters are going to react to them or how they're going to tunnel, how they play off necessarily, it's going to look like what it looked like today because he has necessarily no game plan. He doesn't know how to attack right-handed versus left-handed batters yet. So I'm not concerned. No matter how he came out of today, it was always, if he did really well, it's okay. Can you do it again? Can you string them together? And so I think in fairness, it has to be other way as well. He didn't look great, but is he going to continue to look bad? We definitely just can't take too much away from one game.
Yeah, and that's
or one inning, that even.
that's the thing that I've been saying this every spring for 10 years now, that you you never know what's happening in a game. You don't know what a pitcher's working on. You don't know what his
Exactly.
goals were. And so we can see there were definitely pitches that you knew, okay, his goal wasn't to miss the zone by 3 feet with a fastball on that pitch. And so there's reason for concern. But our buddy Enigma just says in the chat, I said over and over again that I prefer Stone and Sheehan over Roki,
Yeah.
so I feel vindicated. It's way too early for vindication or anything else about Roki Sasaki because it is one appearance, and the fact is there were some really good stretches in this appearance. He struck out three straight batters after a single and a walk and a hard line out and two doubles. He then struck out the last two batters of the first inning and the first batter of the second inning, and then another walk, and then he was done. And we saw some really good pitches, especially in that three batter stretch. There were some really good pitches. It might be something to build on. It might have been just, he happened to make a few good pitches in a small enough stretch that it turned into some strikeouts. It's definitely way too early to say anything. And our Discord was full of, yep, Roki needs to be a reliever. And the fact is, if he can't develop command, he's not going to be a reliever either. That's why when people
Just
talk
ask Michael
about
Kopech.
the third pitch, I'm not as concerned about the third pitch as I am about the command, because without command, his floor is below relief pitcher, definitely below elite reliever. And if he gets some command, then his floor is elite reliever. If he only has the fastball and the forkball, then he can be an elite reliever if he has command. Somebody in the chat mentioned that he didn't really have command issues in Japan, which I know his walk rate was a lot lower in Japan. I don't know, command doesn't only manifest itself in walks, but that's definitely one of the symptoms. So yeah, it may be something that he'll get through. One start is, 9 batters is definitely far too small of a sample size to be making any declarations of he's terrible or he's awesome.
Oh, absolutely. I was telling you the story. I think it was in AJ McCullough's book about Clayton Kershaw, where they told Kersh he needed to throw a changeup or learn a changeup, and they said, okay, in spring training you got to throw 10 changeups. So what he did is the first 10 pitches he threw 10 changeups. And I'm not saying that's what Roki did. It's just to your point of you have no idea what a pitcher's trying to accomplish in spring training. We have no idea. We're not at the stage of can you get outs. We're at the stage of, okay, we got to see some things. And we did see some things to the point of, his floor being a good reliever. I just think going down to 2 pitches would help his command a lot because he's not having to worry about his mechanics for the third and fourth pitch. So I think that's where people are maybe hoping, or at least in my opinion, where I think he'd be a good relief pitcher. But it's just too small of a sample size. Like you said, he flashed it. It's there. He's got a brand new repertoire. He's got 4 pitches now instead of 2. Well, we got to give him all of spring training realistically to see what, he can turn into. If this bleeds into like the end of spring training and he's still looking like this, okay, the conversation needs to start being had.
Yeah. And like Mike says in the chat here, it's his first start in 9 months, and he was working on a new pitch, like you said, who knows what the mechanics of throwing the cutter, if that impacts his ability to throw his regular fastball, so all sorts of things going on. And this is why we have spring training. This is why we do this, because you need time to figure things out and to make things happen, to make the adjustments you need to make. And so after the game, Roki said, well, I got through it and I didn't get hurt. So mission accomplished. And yeah, I said, that's the only goal sometimes. You get the work in, throwing that new cutter to real hitters. There's data to go with now and move on to the next one. Did you see the catch? I see Che 1987 in the chat talking about the catch that Kim made in center field in the first inning.
Kim made 2 great catches this game. He made 2 great catches in center field. I know we're not going to talk about Kim, but Kim is putting himself in the conversation well above Alex Freeland right now for a spot on the roster just because of his versatility.
Yeah, if he can really play center field, it was kind of interesting. The play in the first inning, he kind of ran a J route to get to the ball. But that's why I've said, like, the reason I'm optimistic about Kim as a center fielder is because he's so athletic that you don't have to get the best reads right off the bat. The reads will come over time with reps, but he's so athletic that today he got a bad read. He thought that he needed to go to his right. He actually needed to come in, so he went to his right and then he came in. But he has the speed and athleticism to make the play even with a bad route. Obviously, you know, he'll be even better when he can make good routes, because then the athleticism turns you into, Kevin Kiermaier instead of, insert name of guy who's a fine center fielder. I mean, even Andy Pages, like, use the athleticism. And although that route on that catch in Game 7 was perfect. Every time I watch that, like, because watching it live, you watch Kike Hernandez going back, but I love to just watch Andy Pages because he ran straight to where he caught that. It was a perfect route. Like,
he came out of frame and just ran him over.
The route efficiency was perfect.
It's so good.
But we're not here to talk about Game 7 either. But
no.
But yeah, I mean, Roki Sasaki, it was the first of at least 5 spring training starts he's going to get, I would think.
Because he's not going to play in the WBC. So, he's going to get pretty much.
That was one thing I was very glad about today. I'm glad he's staying here. Like, I know he would have loved to pitch for his country, but the Dodgers need him in camp with their pitching coaches figuring things out. And I'm glad he understands it. And the fact is, it wasn't up to him. He's one of the guys who it is up to, the team. And so, it's, it was ugly, but it was also pretty at times. The forkball looked really good several times. He was throwing it for strikes, called strikes, and for out of the zone for swinging strikes. So there's, but yeah, it really comes down to,
man. It's an impossible pitch. It's a knuckleball in terms of like ability to land it effectively. But if he could find a way to land it effectively, who needs a fastball? Just throw the forkball for strikes and out of the zone. No one could hit it.
Yeah. We got a couple super chats. Ray Soto just wanted to give us money. Didn't want to say anything. $1.99 super chat. We appreciate him. Can you just make sound effects with your mouth? Just say gong. No, memes aren't for super chats. He does the gong with like the cash register sound. Cha-ching. Anyway, JY Kim, $2 super chat, says he has 5 more starts in the spring, right? Cha-ching. Yeah, that's my guess, and I haven't looked at the schedule, but I would guess about 5 more starts, and we'll see him even just a start where he knows, hey, I'm going 4 innings today, is going to be different, just because mindset is a little different. Even if you don't intend it to be, you're going to have a slightly different subconscious approach. And so, yeah, we'll see him again in 5 or 6 days and see what goes on there. Did I just get, wow, that was weird. Like my camera
was funny.
Defocused. That was weird. But yeah, so Roki, the first of several, didn't go great, but, he came out of it healthy. So, and speaking of come out of it healthy, somebody in our chat yesterday said the big test for Gavin Stone will be how does he feel on Wednesday. And I haven't heard any bad news, so I assume no news is good news as far as how Gavin Stone feels. So that's a good thing. We're going to talk about River Ryan in a second, but first let's talk about FanDuel. There's some interesting odds over there, Kevin. Strikeouts for pitchers. What do you think the over-under is on Shohei Ohtani, the pitcher? How many strikeouts he's going to have?
So if he pitches 90 innings, let's say 90 innings, let's say he reaches 95, I don't know, like 104 and a half.
I think FanDuel is expecting a lot more innings from him than you are. I think I am too. I'm expecting 130 innings. And if he gets 130 innings, his over-under is 148 and a half. And so that seems like they're probably thinking about 130 innings too.
Nice. Love to get 130 innings out of Shohei in the regular season.
Yeah, I would too. Tarek Skubal, shockingly, 230 and a half is his over-under. 230? Yeah. I'd take the under on that just because
you have to.
That counts on health and,
that's insane number of strikeouts in today's baseball.
Jacob Mizorowski is at 159 and a half, which is an interesting one because if they don't, I'd take the over on Mizorowski and the under on Skubal, even though I expect Skubal to have more strikeouts than Mizorowski.
I just didn't like the way the Brewers kind of pulled the reins back on him late, and so they only let him pitch like once to the order, and they pulled him. I don't know if they're going to do that this year. If they don't, yeah, I'd probably take the over.
Yeah,
they just the handling of Mizrowski at the end of the year. I mean, I don't follow Brewers beat reporters obviously, but love to know the rationale as to why they kind of.
You're not a big Adam McCalvy guy. Who? I think Adam McCalvy is a Brewers beat writer. That's just the first name that came to my mind. I wonder if that's a real name. Let's see, Adam McCalvy.
I'm sure it's a real name. It was a real name of a
MLB.com Brewers beat writer. Nailed it. One other thing on FanDuel, home runs. They won't even let you put money on Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani to hit 30 home runs next year. That's like the Rockies missing the playoffs as far as FanDuel is concerned. But 40 homers, Judge and Ohtani are both heavy favorites. Judge at minus 620, Shohei at minus 500 to hit 40. To hit 50, Judge is the only one in the minus. He's at minus 106. Shohei's at plus 104. So both of them are right around even odds there. He hit really 60 homers. Aaron Judge is at plus 400. Shohei's at plus 450.
I actually don't hate the Shohei 50 homer one because Judge can get hurt in the field and he could miss time that way. Whereas Shohei, he's playing every day, barring something insane. I mean, granted, it was the playoffs, but he ripped his shoulder out and he kept hitting. So, it's not. I mean, Shohei's going to get the at bats to hit 40 homers.
Yep. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff over there at FanDuel. That was a couple interesting things I saw. So thanks to FanDuel for sponsoring the show. Let's talk about the second debut. River Ryan made his first start in a year and a half. It's just spring training. But like I said, he looked about the way I expected Gavin Stone to look. Like there were flashes of really good stuff. But there was also signs of some rust. He faced 3 batters, got 3 outs, but didn't get all 3 batters out because one guy was caught stealing after River Ryan walked him. That was how the inning ended. But he did have 1 strikeout. I'm trying to remember how the other out was. I was watching where River Ryan. Here we are. Oh, that's right. Ildemaro Vargas grounded out to second. Yeah, and then Jordan Lawler walked and was caught stealing by Dalton Rushing. Beautiful throw. Nice tag by Alex Freeland. It definitely would have got a replay if this is regular season. It was
Lawler's fast.
Yeah.
That's pretty good for Rushing to
but it was he short hopped Freeland and Freeland made a nice catch and tag and it was a nice play. But yeah, River Ryan, this stuff looked good. Again, it was mostly a command thing, and that's where you're going to see rust. And that's what, honestly, if Roki Sasaki was coming back from surgery and it had been a year and a half, I wouldn't have any concerns about his performance today because you would expect rust. It's the fact that it was the same issues we saw with Roki last year a lot. That's, and that he wasn't on a big injury layoff. It was just regular off-season layoff, but it's still a layoff. But with River Ryan, it was kind of what you would expect coming back after a year and a half. He threw 19 pitches and 8 of them were strikes. That means 11 balls, #math baby. But the stuff looked good. And so for River Ryan, I have I just feel good. I don't feel like with Gavin Stone's start yesterday, I was like, man, this is awesome. River Ryan, I'm like, yeah, this is good. This was a good step. This is what I expected to see, and I expect him to be looking good. So I don't know if you have any different thoughts or same thoughts about River Ryan.
I'm just happy to see him on the mound. Same way I felt about Kyle Hurt. Seeing him on the mound, those are 2 guys that I'm pretty high on stuff-wise and just what I think they can bring to this roster. So seeing him and seeing that the stuff didn't drop off, I know, you never know what a guy is going to look like after TJ. So fastball had some serious life to it. He flashed a bunch of pitches. If he gets an opportunity, I'm really excited for River Ryan moving forward. Again, it's can you build on it? Can you keep getting better from here? But still, this is a guy that I was high on before, and I want to see him healthy and contributing.
Yeah, absolutely. The the stuff looked good. And so again, he's another guy. Like all these guys we're talking about, they're going to get 4 or 5 more starts, and in the spring, we'll get to see them stretch out a little bit and kind of get a feel for it. Like right now, if you're talking about the competition for the 5th and 6th starters, if we're going on the assumption that Blake Snell isn't going to start the season in the rotation, that he's going to start on the IL, we're looking at two spots in the rotation, in the 6-man rotation, and it's 3 guys fighting for it. It's Gavin Stone, River Ryan, and Roki Sasaki. And we've seen all of them in the last 2 days. And based on, the very tiny sample size for each of them, Stone is leading the race and Ryan is absolutely in 2nd place and Roki is in a distant 3rd, but it's very, very early in the race and, a lot of things can happen. And there's always the fact that there are more things that go into these decisions than just who is most deserving sometimes. Maybe not in this case because, all of them are similar in terms of minor league options available and all of that. So you won't have a guy getting in the rotation just because he doesn't have options available and he's on the roster. So we got to use him. This might be a true race for those 2 spots. And if so, Roki can look at what the other 2 guys did and say, I need to step up. I need to be better if I want that spot.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. And Landon Knack has an option year left too. So he, even for a guy that's been around a little while like him, he's not going to just get time on the roster just because, this is very much, or at least feels like a meritocracy. The best guy is going to get those starts.
Matty Man in the chat says Sheehan is the 5th starter. Sheehan's the 4th starter right now.
Yeah. And he's the 4th starter on this team. Not be the 4th starter on a lot of teams.
Yeah. Assuming, and that's assuming, and we haven't seen, I haven't heard anything really one way or the other about Emmett Sheehan as far as what it's hard to keep track of everybody the Dodgers are slow playing this spring. But Blake Snell definitely seems unlikely to start the season in the rotation. And so that means that there's room for several of these guys. River Ryan is one I'm really excited to see his next start again. Because the stuff is just so fun to watch. It
really is.
Like even just going back and watching some of his highlights from 2024, like the way he looked made major league hitters look silly sometimes as a rookie was just wild.
Yep.
You have any other thoughts on River Ryan before we move on to our 3rd and final spring debut?
Does he have the best fastball out of all of the starters?
River Ryan?
Potential starters? Yeah.
What, you mean like all the starters, like including the big 4? Or you mean like the guys fighting for spots?
Definitely over the guys fighting for spots. I guess Sheehan's a really good fastball too.
Yeah, Emmett Sheehan's fastball is very good. That's
River Ryan's fastball is so much fun to. I don't know. There's something to it. It just jumps out of his hand. It's so fun to watch.
Yeah. Mike says it's funny. I know one's talking about Kyle Hurts 1 inning. He looked good. Yeah, I think Kyle Hurts looked great. I just don't. I think he's a reliever, and so he's not in this conversation for me.
He could be a starter maybe if they wanted to, but like we don't know what their plan is for him. So it's really hard to, be like, oh yeah, he looked really great in 1 inning, but he's not going to be a starter or he's going to be a reliever. It's just kind of hard to gauge.
I don't know. So we'll see. But yeah, there's a lot of good fastballs in this Dodgers rotation. And, some really good splitters / forkball / changeup, that kind of pitch. And there's a lot of good stuff going on. And speaking of good stuff, let's talk about our 3rd debut, which was Edwin Diaz, much anticipated Dodgers debut. And basically he just came out and said, it's June, July? Don't tell me it's February. I'm just going to be myself. He came out, he threw 12 pitches, 9 of them strikes, a strikeout, did give up 1 hit, but he just looked really good. He was just, what you expect when the Dodgers sign him, make him the highest paid closer, all that stuff is like, oh yeah, that's a version of Edwin Diaz we just got today.
Yeah, so I know he gave up a hard hit that Kim ended up tracking down in center field, but before that, he flashed kind of that ability to miss barrels that I think goes under the radar for him because his whiff rate's so insane. He had like a 41% win rate, I think is what Rick Monday quoted, from last year. But he threw a fastball and it just completely missed the barrel and it just like died in the left field. And that's something that like he can do. Like having a reliever that can do both is crazy because, you look at a lot of guys, you look at like, Bruce Starr is like the key example. He can't miss bats, but he misses barrels. Edwin Diaz can miss bats and barrels. And that's just like, that makes him so deadly and makes him really fun to watch. Because even if the guy connects, puts wood on the ball, it's like the odds of it even being hit hard are fairly low. Again, I know that he then ended up giving a hard hit later, but still, it was cool to see that.
Yeah. He was one of those guys who you could make a case the Dodgers didn't need to sign Edwin Diaz. Yeah. They didn't need to sign Kyle Tucker, but it's what made it such a fun offseason that the Dodgers said, look, we have some holes. If we're going to fill our holes, we might as well fill them with the best people possible, I'm glad Clint's not here to say phrasing, but Kevin stepped into that, Edwin Diaz is a guy I'm excited to watch. And today, that was the thing. Maybe the reason Diaz was more exciting than the other days because we saw Diaz, other than what inning it is, this was his role. Hey, come in and get 3 outs for us, And so he's already doing what he's going to do, and which is nice because he is going to be leaving to play for Puerto Rico in the WBC. So we won't see him very much more this spring in a Dodger uniform. I would guess 1 or 2 more appearances in a Dodger uniform this spring after the WBC maybe. And then it's, when he comes in to Timmy Trumpets on opening day and gets the save there, that's the next time we're really going to see him. So seeing him in action was definitely a lot of fun in that Dodger uniform.
No, it was awesome. He is going to make, he already makes this bullpen incredible, but it's just going to make it so much fun to watch because, as Dodger fans, we're kind of used to having a lockdown guy. I know not recently, but, you had Kenley and you had Gagne. Like, it's in the 2000s, we've had a pretty lockdown reliever, but like, this is just the newest iteration of it. I'm excited. And you had mentioned him getting 3 outs. He 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 times in the regular season last year went more than 3 outs. 4 of those times he went a full 2 innings. So clearly somebody who's also not afraid to take down multiple innings if called upon, and absolutely love that as well. Just a guy who wants to compete, it looks like. So just nothing really to dislike about Edwin Diaz.
Yeah, he had 11 appearances of more than an inning, of at least 4 outs. He had 4 that were 2 full innings. He faced at least 5 batters 21 times. He can get the job done, and he's ready to do whatever he needs to. Hopefully, with the rest of the Dodgers bullpen, if they can step up, they won't need him for more than 1 inning very often. That's kind of how this bullpen is designed to be built. We'll see if it works out that way because last year it didn't exactly. But
nope.
So that's kind of the bulk of this episode. 2 other things to talk about. One, I just want to rant a little bit. Dalton Rushing, he challenged a pitch early in the game and he didn't get the call, so he lost the challenge for the team. Later in the game, it was bases loaded, full count. He took ball 4. The umpire called it strike 3. If he had challenged, he would have won and it would have scored a run. At that point, I believe it was a 3-3 game. It would have been the go-ahead run. But either he was in his head, didn't want to be responsible for the Dodgers losing both of their challenges, or after the first challenge, maybe Dave Roberts told him, okay, that's your challenge for today. Let somebody else have the other one. But for whatever reason, he didn't challenge. And, ended up not mattering. Partly because of spring training and nothing matters. But also partly because the Dodgers scored runs that inning. They scored runs later. They scored plenty of runs. They won the game handily, a game that it didn't matter whether they won or not. But the fact is, we will see situations like that in the regular season where it's an important run and either the team is out of challenges or the batter has been told by his team, only let the catcher, we're only going to make challenges on defense from our catcher, not on offense. There's plenty of reasons why it's the first inning, but the fact is runs count in any inning, and yep. This one today literally took a run off the board that would have been on the board. And so I just want to reiterate that when #Jeff for Commissioner becomes a reality, we're not going to do the stupid challenge crap. Just get the calls right. It drives me crazy. And they're talking about how all the intrigue it adds and the strategy. I don't need more intrigue and strategy. I like baseball. That's why I watch baseball, is to watch baseball. I don't need a new game within a game. I like the game that's already there. But apparently we needed a game within a game. And it cost the Dodgers a run today. Again, in a game that didn't matter, a run that didn't matter, et cetera, et cetera. But it will happen in games that matter. And it's going to drive me crazy. And so I'm just getting started early on being driven crazy by the fact that Rob Manfred is allergic to implementing good ideas in a good way.
He's implemented plenty of good rules recently. I mean, even the ABS, the challenge system's a good rule.
It's a good idea. He didn't implement it in a good way. That's the thing. Instant replay should have been done better. There's all sorts of
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad it's here. I'm sure the Dodgers will have their various teams will have various approaches to it. Like you said, maybe only on defense you can call it, only catchers can call it. I'm sure most teams will have a couple of guys that have the green light, and everybody else, it's just like, hey, bite your tongue unless it's like really egregious or like, you had mentioned, it could cost us a run in a big spot. So, I'd rather them just get it right. I would too. I mean, but at least it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And
Hey, Nando is in the chat, just being his usual provocative self. He says Dalton Rushing is the new Austin Barnes, but not as good, and that's saying a lot for Barnes. Dalton Rushing was terrible in his debut last year. He was still significantly better than Austin Barnes last year. It was still an upgrade to dump Austin Barnes. Austin Barnes last year with the Dodgers had a 45 OPS plus. Dalton Rushing had a 63. Both are bad. One is much more bad. I know Nando just says stuff he doesn't even believe just to get a reaction. And so congratulations to him. Speaking of people who say stupid things to get a reaction, we're not going to spend much time on it, but Kevin's favorite player on his favorite team, Pete Car Armstrong, doubled down on his comments, decided to wander into the realm of possible racism now. He's like, like Rich White Boy talking about how unsafe Dodger Stadium is, just, he didn't say anything racial, but, man up. Pete Crow Armstrong has never sat in an area at Dodger Stadium where the fights happen. Those don't happen where people in Hollywood sit. People who go to private schools that cost $50,000 a year don't sit where the fights happen at Dodger Stadium. Pete Crow Armstrong has never seen a fight at Dodger Stadium. You know how I know? Because I don't have nearly as much money as Pete Crow Armstrong, and I've never seen a fight at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, I haven't either, funny enough. A lot of people...
Because it's just like every other stadium. Every once in a while, there's a fight. And, Pete Crow Armstrong has never seen a fight at Dodger Stadium. He brought up the Brian Stowe thing. Hey, remember 15 years ago when some thugs, looked for an opportunity to be thugs and found it in the dark, dangerous Dodger Stadium parking lot? Has nothing to do with Dodger fans. Like, those guys were looking to make trouble, and they made trouble. Doesn't mention that a Dodger fan literally got killed outside a Giants game one time, and of all teams, the Cubs. Like, I wonder if Steve Bartman is just really enjoying this conversation about how calm and rational Cubs fans are,
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to necessarily bring it up, but my one bad stadium experience did happen at Wrigley, and I've been to a lot of games at Petco and at whatever version of Oracle Park they called it at the time. Yeah, my one bad experience that happened at Wrigley. Not that say I don't. That's not that's my own personal experience, and it doesn't paint a bad light on all Cubs fans, but it is kind of interesting that way. I thought the interesting part about that entire second quote was he's like, it has nothing to do with the players. It's all about the fans. It's like, why are you like, what do you have against the fans?
Don't worry, guys. I'm not talking about you 26 people. I'm talking about the 6 million other people. I didn't mean to insult you, tiny group. I meant to insult this entire other group of people.
The whole thing came off strange. And, I said it last night. I'm just going to reiterate it. Just talk about how cool Cubs fans are. And how, they're drunk, but beer snakes can be fun or whatever. Like, who cares? It's really, I've never seen somebody go after, like, as much as we, kind of talk about, Tatis and Profar and like a lot of the Padres players, they generally don't really say anything about the fans unless like something happens specifically with them and the fans. Like, so Peter Armstrong, from everything I remember, has had really good experiences at Dodger Stadium. I doubt it'll be as good anymore, but that's his own fault.
Yep. And my last thing to say about this, probably forever, I also had a terrible experience at Wrigley Field. That experience was that stadium sucks. It's a terrible place to watch a baseball game. It's a garbage stadium.
You have to sit in the outfield because it's crazy that they thought it was like the solution was to put a second deck on the first bowl, but they didn't design it in a way that made sense, because if you sit in the lower bowl, you have to sit either all the way down or your view in some way, shape, or form will be obstructed by a pillar. It's actually crazy.
Yeah, it's a classic stadium. It's a national landmark. It's a terrible place to watch a baseball game. It sucks. And it's a terrible place to play a baseball game. They've got weeds growing on the wall, on the brick wall. They got a net hanging over the field, so you don't even have to hit over the fence to get a home run. The net will help you. It's a stupid place to play baseball. I'm sorry to insult your favorite team and their stadium, Kevin, but Wrigley Field sucks, man. It is the second worst place to play baseball. So, yeah.
Well, yeah. So does that mean that? Oh, okay. I see. So Rocky
Coors Field is the worst because it shouldn't exist. And much better stadium. Coors Field is a much better stadium than Wrigley Field. Just
Oracle is up there for me too, not because of like the dimensions of the field, but the wind just makes it just so annoying to play at as an outfielder, and just like you just see guys just doing this. There's no sun.
But at least you get to dodge seagulls and stuff. So. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I think we're done talking about PCA forever, unless he actually
he triples down,
challenges a Dodger fan to an MMA fight or something. I don't know how much deeper he can dig this hole, but you know what? Dude went to a fancy private school. Maybe he's got ideas that I can't even fathom in my public school upbringing. Maybe he will.
Yeah. Maybe,
be sure to join us on Saturday when there's a voicemail from Richie telling you exactly how he feels about Pete Armstrong. But until then, you got anything else for tonight's show, Kevin?
No, I'm just excited to keep watching baseball. I'm happy that we got to see some new pitchers, not new pitchers, but for pitchers for the first time this year. Excited to see what's happening, and I can't wait for the WBC. I am so excited for the WBC.
I found that I'm actually excited for it too, and I was a little bit surprised about that because I haven't cared a lot in the past, but I'm actually excited to watch Team Japan because I've always been a Shohei Ohtani fan, and so I enjoyed watching Ohtani last time in the WBC, but I wasn't as invested in Ohtani as I am now. I wasn't as invested in Yamamoto as I am now, and so I'm excited to watch Team Japan. Obviously, if they play Team USA, I'm going to be rooting for Team USA because USA. But I hope Team Japan wins their pool. I'm going to be watching every Team Japan game, and that's something I'm really excited for.
I think is it the Puerto Rican team too is also just completely loaded. Is it the Puerto Rican or the Dominican team? One of the two. It's completely loaded as well.
Probably the Dominican team. It's usually the Dominican team.
Can't sleep on Team Mexico either. They almost took out Japan last time. It took I think it was Munetaka Murakami ended up scoring a run in the 8th or 9th inning.
And then we're gonna We're going to get to see what Team Great Britain's uniforms look like this time. See if they were made in MS Paint again.
Yeah, good guys. At least they didn't use like Comic Sans, but they came dangerously close to looking like they just printed Comic Sans on great uniforms.
Yeah. Tomorrow we get Tyler Glasnow's spring debut.
Cool.
So that should be good. Playing against the White Sox at Camelback Ranch. Dodgers will be the home team. I don't know how they determine that, but looks like Sean Newcomb, who once tried to throw a perfect game against the Dodgers, will be pitching for the White Sox. And I think I haven't seen much about who's going to be playing anywhere else, but excited to see Tyler Glasnow in action. Ray Soto just sent us another $1.99. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate it. I think that's going to do it. We probably... What's today? Today's Wednesday, so tomorrow's Thursday. I did that in my head.
So smart.
We may be back tomorrow night.
Maybe.
Some combination of the two of us, Clint, probably 2 or 3 of the 3 of us will be around tomorrow night to talk about Tyler Glasnow's spring debut. It'll be fun. Thank you all for being here with us. Thanks for hanging out in the chat. Thanks to the chat moderators. Thank you to the Bleav Network for having us. Thank you to FanDuel for sponsoring us. Remember, if you want to join the conversation over on our Discord, go to patreon.com/realfrg. $5 a month gets you access to the Discord server. It's a lot of fun there. And with all that said, I guess the only thing left to say is bye.